There we go. We're live. Hi, everyone. I am Coach Kayla, dietitian, online dietitian, plant-based online dietitian, nutrition, and run coach. And I'm here with Cynthia, which we have, oh my gosh, we used to work together. We go way, way back. But we used to work actually in the same program, which is really, really cool. But we both do our own online thing now. So we're both dietitians and doing our own thing. So exciting to connect with her and talk to her today. She is the Period Nutritionist. So I thought she was a perfect person to really talk to anybody that, especially the females that, run a lot, are active, and she's really struggling, not having a period and how to get that back and how to eat. I know I talk a lot about eating enough and fueling enough. So I know that's related to it. So we'll talk about all that stuff. And then if you are joining, I see Anika's on. Hi, Anika. If you are joining us live, just make sure to allow StreamYard. There's a link above this video. Allow StreamYard to have your name show up so we can see that you're on. And then other than that, if you are watching this on live as well, let us know below that, you're watching this live. If it's on replay, that's fine. Just hit replay or tell us replay. But it looks like, hi, Amy. Hi, Amy's on too, and Anika's on. Awesome. Glad you ladies are on. Awesome. Okay, cool. Well, let's get into it. So, gosh, where do we even start? Where do we start, Cynthia? You can introduce yourself first.
Yes. So, hi, ladies, and there are some gentlemen in here, yes?
Yes.
But, gentlemen, we're not going to be talking about periods for you, but I am a registered dietitian nutritionist. I've been an RD for, it'll be 11 years in October. And for half of my career, I worked in various fields of healthcare, and it wasn't until probably a few years ago where I really took my expertise in missing periods and my nutrition background and knowledge and kind of fused them together. And that was coupled kind of behind my own struggles as a woman. And I lost my period due to overtraining and underfueling. And so I decided, well, why I should be helping other women across the world get their periods back and find a very balanced, healthy relationship with food and fitness. So here I am, and I'm excited to be here today and hopefully answer all of your period-related questions.
Awesome. So cool. So you've been working directly with females getting their periods back for the last couple of years, right?
Yes. Yep. And, it's a huge passion of mine. I think more so because I struggled with it, and there's so much misinformation about it out there, coming from our medical community and even our nutrition community. So it's important to me that not only do I help women directly by, either coaching them one-on-one or in a group format, but also to spread the message out there. And that's why I reached out to Kayla, is because I want to spread the message of like a missing period isn't normal or healthy. Because I think a lot of, again, doctors, medical professionals, and even athletes, trainers normalize this missing period. So I want to spread the word, and I hope you guys enjoy listening to Kayla and I chat about it today.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, can you tell us why it isn't normal for females to have a period, or, what the consequences of not having it are?
Absolutely. So the term missing period, also known as hypophthalmic amenorrhea, I'm going to use the abbreviation HA for short because that's really a mouthful. And so HA develops when a woman is underfueling and over-exercising or very stressed. Or it could be just a matter of they're underfueling and maybe they don't do any exercise at all. So it's low energy availability to the body. And thus what happens is your hypothalamus, the part in your brain that controls your reproductive hormones, your appetite, your stress hormones, that it says, things aren't looking up around here. I got to shut down all reproductive functions because it's not safe enough to have a baby. And I'm not saying that all you out there are, your goal is to have a baby one day. Maybe you don't ever want kids. And there's more important reasons why a missing period is related, not just fertility. But that's what the brain is thinking. Like, it is not safe around here to make and procreate human life. So thus, it shuts down our sex hormones, and our sex hormones, such as estrogen, play a very important part in bone health. And if you're a runner, we know we need good bones. We need good bones regardless if we're a runner or not. But that's another thing. Bone health, it impacts heart health. It can also, studies show that it impacts cognitive down the line. They say, it could cause early onset Alzheimer's. And if you don't have or never heard of it, hold on one second. I recommend getting this book, No Period, Now What? Yes, this is I'm trying to think. This is like everything you need to know about missing periods and overtraining and under fueling. So here's the thing too. I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball at you ladies that are on oral contraceptives or birth control pills.
Yes, that's my other question.
Yes. So, like I said, the consequences of a missing period: infertility, heart health, bone health, cognitive, but also to like the little things of like, oh, maybe you feel really cold all the time. Maybe you're always thinking about food and you're super hungry, but you just think that you're obsessed with food because, food is just so whatever. But also, the coldness, the low resting heart rate, which, many of us pride ourselves on, saying, oh, my heart rate is so low, doctors think I'm so fit. And in all actuality, if you are not eating enough and you are not giving your body the proper rest, that low resting heart rate isn't exactly based on your fitness level. Anyway, so those are a handful of consequences. But the period thing in relation to birth control. So birth control actually masks a real period. So that bleed that you do get on birth control is a synthetic induced bleed. So many women, when they come to me as clients or as prospective clients, they're like, I have no idea when my period went missing. I came off the pill and I never got it. So we really don't know. And, there are in some cases women that their HA is so severe that they won't even get a bleed on the pill. But that kind of gets into really pretty much severe eating disorders. We don't see that too much with, underfueling. You'll still get a period on the pill, even if your body isn't, producing real hormones if it were to come off the pill. So it's really important to know. And I get the question, Kayla, all the time is like, well, how do I know? How do I know if I'm missing my period, if I'm on the pill? And you don't unless you come off. And I'm not going to say, okay, you need to come off the pill and make sure that your period is, around, because maybe you're on pills for more reasons than just, preventing, birth. So I'm not a doctor and I can't say you need to go off the pill, but I can tell you that there's no way to know unless you go off of birth control.
Right.
So yes. And also I do want to mention, I was just reading a study, and Kayla, I can probably send it to you afterwards so you have it. But when, we've heard probably many times before that if you're on the pill, and I know as a dietitian, I heard this before as well. If you're on the pill, it's protecting your bones. So you should be on the pill to protect your bones. And guess what? Studies are now showing if you are undernourished and not eating enough to support your energy levels, that pill is not protective for bone health. And I'm not going to get into too much of the science of it, and I'll send you the link to the journal article if you're interested, Kayla. But So yeah, and I know this might be a a light bulb moment for many of us, because I know it was for me when I first found out about all this. I was like
Yeah.
mind blown. I'm like, I wasn't getting a real period, but yeah. So
Yeah. 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 Wow. Yeah. You shared a lot of really, I think, good things to really know. And sounds like the most important thing then is to just make sure we're fueling our bodies, whether we have that period or no period, or not really know if we do or not. It sounds like just fueling our bodies right. Now, do you work with do you get a lot of athletes or like runners that, have missing periods related to, overtraining, under eating, under fueling?
I do. And, I've had some, on social media, because it's wonderful. We can connect with people across the world. But,
Yeah.
I've had professional athletes come to me and, say that, my coach, I had a past Olympian one time. She's like, my coach, told me that it's no big deal, that my period isn't missing. All athletes, end up missing their period at some point or another.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it's just like, oh my gosh. And,
Oh no.
like I said, there's so much misinformation out there. And
Yeah.
here's the thing, little do, many coaches may not know that if these women were getting their periods, they would even have more energy, more stamina, more power to do whatever it is they're competing in. So,
Oh,
that's unfortunate. And so, like I said, Kayla, so many women will come to me and say, I don't know when my period went missing because of the pill. But here's the thing, regardless if you are missing your period or you're not, we need to fuel appropriately, because guess what? Some women, I'll have clients of mine say, well, this is so frustrating. My friend, she's smaller than me and she exercises more than me and she still has a period. And when it comes down to it, it's really based on genetics. Your genetics may be able to support you having these reproductive hormones, flowing while you're still in maybe a famine-like state. And also, too, it could just be a matter of time until your body's like, the heck with you. Like, you've totally neglected me and you haven't given me enough food. I'm not keeping these hormones on. And what happens is our bodies are smart and they say, all right, we don't need these hormones to survive. Like, we don't. So I'm going to take all that fuel that I'm getting and focus it on my heart beating, on my lungs breathing, on our day-to-day functions that are 100% needed to keep us going. And we don't need sex hormones, and we certainly don't need hair for that. If you find you have thin hair, bad nails, maybe skin, decreased libido, those are some things that we just think like, oh, that's just me. That's how my hair is. And I can tell you from a woman who suffered from a missing period before, I just thought, oh, I'm just like not into like, sex or something like that. Or, oh, my hair, my hair's still thick, but let me tell you, my hair now, having, a regular cycle, and this was even on birth control, that I didn't have the hair that I have now. It's like so thick and so luscious. My nails, I have to cut them like every couple days because they grow so much, So they're, those are some other, I guess, smaller consequences that we don't really notice much. But yeah, it's, and I know it's like a lot to swallow if you're, just hearing about this for the first time. So, take a breath. And if this sounds anything like you, get the No Period Now What book. My Instagram handle, I have a ton of, helpful information on there. Period Nutritionist, you can go there. So I don't want you guys to take a deep breath, because it is a lot.
Yes, it is. It is definitely, definitely. Now, when you help women to get it back, what are kind of the approach that you take, especially for that woman that's like afraid to gain weight? Because I get a lot of runners that are like that, especially plant-based is, we want to eat healthy. We want to, we're eating these healthy foods, but eating plants and plant-based is low in calories. So I find a lot of these women, are not eating enough, just for performance wise. But then they have these beliefs, right? That, you know, if they eat too much, I'm gonna gain weight, and I don't want that to happen. So how do you manage that, or how do you help women manage that?
That's a great question, because I can tell you every woman, plant-based or not, that come to me, they are fearful of weight gain. And, you know, I always ask them their why first, but behind whatever diet they follow, plant-based, you know, whatever it is. And I say, what is your why behind this? Is it because you are trying to change your body, like your image, right? You know, I want the six pack. I want the, you know, the toned arms, the fit girl look. You know, so all those things I help them, you know, what is your why? I actually just started working with, she just joined my group. She's a vegan, and I asked her, I said, you know, I work with all different women, you know, doing all different things, but I want to know that your why behind following whatever it may be is, you know, for purposes other than changing our body image, right? So starting there, and then what I have women do is there really is, you know, making sure we're eating enough. And I preach a lot of times 2,500 calories. And so many women will be, oh my God, 2,500 calories is so much. And I get it. It does sound like a lot of food, right? But I can tell you the nutrition needs for a 2-year-old is like roughly like 1,300 to 1,400 calories. Okay. So yeah. And then we go to a 20-something-year-old woman who is running 20 miles a week and is only eating 2,000 calories. Right. So anyways, back to that, you know, there's a baseline of, all right, let's start here at 2,500 calories. Some women need more, some women need less. So I help women identify, you know, is this enough food for our body? Are we seeing any signs and symptoms of your period returning, such as, you know, better sleep, such as cervical mucus women experience throughout different times of the month, maybe a change in libido. So various signals that our bodies give us to say, oh, you know, I'm liking this extra food around here. So, you know, that 2,500 calories is not only going into helping you like have your heart beat, your lungs breathe, but it's also helping repair things on a cellular level that we cannot even see. It's helping repair, you know, heart functions, such as if you have a really low resting heart rate, it's going to say, oh, it's looking up around here. You know, I'm getting a little bit more food, so maybe I won't conserve my heart rate as much as I have. So, you know, all those things. So enough food is, of course, a big component, and resting, because what's happening is that even though after we have that nice run, we got that runner's high, we're feeling good. But what is also happening that we can't see is that in our hypothalamus, that running, that intense heart rate going up, our hypothalamus is looking at it like, oh my gosh, she's being chased by a wolf. You know, she's being chased. And she's being chased by a lion. She is under stress. So automatically those fight or flight mode, you know, hormones turn on, you know, and your adrenaline is pumping. And here's the thing, and I know it sounds so silly. It's like, and really our body is interpreting that as being maybe chased, because you know, danger. It doesn't know that we're going out for a leisurely jog because, you know, we really enjoy running. So that stress also takes I guess a hit on the hypothalamus, if you want to say, and it says, things aren't safe around here. So some women cannot recover their period without really cutting out all that intense exercise temporarily, right? Because I know if you're listening, you're like, oh my God, I don't have my period. You're telling me I have to stop running. No. And here's the thing. If you want your period back, which is, you know, to me, if you're not having a regular menstrual cycle, that isn't healthy, right? And if you are running and you're plant-based, you're running and you're eating healthy to be healthy, right? But if we're not if we don't have our period, we're not healthy. So, you know, we gotta weigh this here, and somehow come to an agreement and say maybe I'll temporarily cut down on, you know, intense exercise. I'll replace it with some gentle exercise, and I will, you know, give my body time to rest. And then guess what? You get to come back stronger.
Yeah.
And not only that, you have a decreased chance of your bones breaking if you fall down or, you know, whatever when you're running. So, you know, I know because I was there and I know the struggle, and like, this is what I do. I'm a runner, right? I was an avid CrossFitter. I'm like, this is what I do. Like my husband does it. My friends do it. Like, who am I without my CrossFit identity, my running identity? So that is a big barrier for many women to kind of, you know, take that temporary break to truly get healthy and get their cycle back. So, you know, have I worked with women that continue to run or exercise well? And I can tell you, and I tell them up front, I'm like, I cannot promise your period is going to come back if you continue to do this. So, you know, I can't say any woman I worked with that continued to run at a high level regained her cycle just by even increasing your calories, 2,000 calories, even, you know, eating 5,000 calories a day. So, you know, temporary. And then also the third component of the recipe for a period is managing your stress levels. And I often get, well, what do you mean? Like, exercise is my stress relief. Like, what the heck do I do? And I may be reading a lot of your minds, ladies out there, if you are missing your period, because every single woman I work with, you know, says the same exact thing, because we really are truly alike. But I say, you know what? It is okay that we use exercise as stress relief, but it cannot be the only form of stress relief.
Yeah.
So we have to find other ways to cope, because right now your body is looking at your exercise as stress inducing. We just can't see it because it's happening at an internal level. So yeah, so those are, you know, the components of it. And, you know, like we said initially, that fear of weight gain. Like, I know I need to eat more and rest more. It's like, oh my gosh, now I'm eating more and I'm not even running as much. And so that's where we need to get into the body image piece and the why behind what you do, and help heal, you know, those underlying reasons why you are feeling such a way about your body. And there's so many factors that can contribute to that. It could be family upbringing, it could be society, social media, culture. There's a million things that play into part. And if you haven't read the book yet either, because Kayla, I know you preach, you know, health at every size and, you know, all foods fit kind of thing. The book Anti-Diet by Christy Harrison is a really great book. So yeah. So, and really it's no easy one person kind of fits all fix when it comes to the weight gain piece. But I can tell you, ladies and men out there, that you as a person are more than what you appear on the outside. Right. And if you, you know, thinness is often confused with healthy, right? And you could be thin and missing a period, but that's not health. So to me, the true health is having this nice balance with, you know, whatever exercise that you do, eating the foods that you know, are passionate about, and not stressing like, oh my gosh, I didn't get my run in, or I didn't get my, oh my gosh, you know, and kind of, you know, having this balance where you are fitting, you know, exercise and food into your life versus you fitting into its life, right? So having that balance. But yeah, it's a work in progress. And our society today, and possibly culture and other things, makes it a bit more difficult to have this balanced approach. But it is definitely possible.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, yeah, it's good. Good to know that it is possible. Definitely. Yes. And has anybody, you know, told you how, like, the changes, like, on the other side of, you know, how they felt? Like, has it been more than, you know, just getting the period back? Has there been, you know, just other things that are really positive that have happened?
Yeah, so many positive things, Kayla. It's
Yeah.
really, when I tell women when I work with them, I'm like, yeah, we're gonna get you your end goal. We're gonna get you a period back, but I'm telling you, you're gonna get so much more out of working on getting your period back.
Yeah.
And I've
Yeah.
had, let's see, one of my clients, she was working with me while she was getting married. And now most of us that have gotten married or, are in the process of getting married, we know it's a time where it's like, okay, we must fit into the perfect dress. We must, be in the best shape of our life. And, instead of her focusing on that, she focused on the
Mhm.
meaningful things of that come along with a wedding, whether it's spending time with friends and family, whether it's her bridal shower,
Mhm.
her first toast as husband and wife, all these
Aw.
things that we miss out on when our main focus is like thinking about food and exercise all the time.
Yeah.
I've had women that have said, I've been, to every doctor and, they're just recommending for fertility treatment to get pregnant. And, I don't want to do that. And I've had women, fall pregnant even before getting their first period back or,
Wow.
not know like, oh my gosh, like, where is my third period? And I'm like, well, is there any chance you could be pregnant? And yeah, and so,
Wow.
not only that thing, but the ability to enjoy life more, to be able to go to, a
Yeah.
birthday party and eat cake without thinking, oh my gosh, I gotta go run 3 miles tomorrow, I'll burn this
Yeah.
all off. Um, things like that, not feeling as
Yeah.
cold anymore, having more
Mhm.
intimacy with their husband, whether it's because they have had increased libido or they're just being able to connect more because they're not always constantly thinking about food or with exercise. And
Mhm.
in the book Anti-Diet, Christy Harrison, who is also a registered dietitian, she calls
Mhm.
diet culture. So when I say diet culture, I mean like the ability to be consumed like, oh my gosh, I just ate this piece of cake and this is so unhealthy and I got to go run 5 miles tomorrow. So that kind of, we've
Yep.
been kind of trained to think that all these foods are bad and certain foods are good. Anyway,
Mhm.
so she explains it as the life thief, that it's taking away all these precious moments from us, whether it be, our son's first birthday party. Right. I've had women come to me and say, oh my gosh, if I didn't
Mhm.
work on my relationship with food and exercise and get my period back, I would have
Mhm.
never even been able to enjoy my son's first birthday because
Aw.
I'm too worried about eating cake and having to go burn it off or, what's in it or what have you. So,
Yeah.
so many things, the connection, I think the
Mhm.
connection, Kayla, is the biggest piece of it all. And enjoying life for what it is
Yeah.
versus our life just revolving around, you know, food and
Mhm.
exercise.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. I love that
Yeah.
because yeah, I think that's so it's so important to really make sure that we can enjoy our lives and not obsess over, right, food and running and exercise and all of that and not enjoy our lives. That's so important. So, yeah, that's just
Yeah. And
so
Caleb,
good.
personally, I can tell you if someone told me 10 years ago, like, oh, you're not going to like, eat clean or, you're not going to exercise every single day. I'd be like, no, like that's my life. Like that's what I do. Like I'm a dietitian, and
Mhm.
now I can tell you like personally, especially being a
Yeah,
mom where, not only do I work, but, I have to work as a mom and take care of two little boys that are very young and
yeah,
having that mental space to be able to focus on them, focus on work, and just
right.
not like worry about, oh my gosh, if I go to bed too late, I'm not going to be, be able to go for my run. And, some of you out there may be like
Mhm.
strict athletes and you may have no choice. Like maybe you're in college and
Right.
you run and maybe you're training for the Olympics, who knows? And
Mhm.
I get that, right? And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with, if that is your, career. And I'm not saying it's
Mhm.
wrong if it's your passion either. But
Mhm.
know that, there is more out there than just what we eat and, our exercise routine. Because if, like I said, if someone told me that before, I'd be like, no way, like I'll be doing this forever. And now I get to, have a nice balance and exercise when, it fits into my schedule, when it's appropriate, and not feel guilty if I don't do it.
Yeah. I think that's the most important. It's not to feel guilty if you don't. If you're, someone that just doesn't always have time to run, like it's okay.
Yes.
If you're not training, for
Yes.
anything.
Kayla, I can tell you, like, when I was knee deep in my like over exercising and under fueling days, if I saw a person running like out there, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I should be running. And I don't know if you guys feel like that are listening right now. I should be running. Like, I should be running.
Yeah, I took 6 days off and it was horrible. I was like, oh my God, every time I saw someone run, I was like, I should be running. But I'm like, no, it's 6 days. Like,
yeah, and it's okay. But you know what? It's a part of what we do. And it's good. It is so important to rest our bodies.
It is.
But I know, there's lots of endorphins, lots of feel good hormones that happen when we run and when we exercise. But going back to the whole period thing, if you are missing your period or you suspect that you are, feel free to reach out to me, but definitely give your body a rest, so you can come back stronger, and really fulfill your passion more.
Yeah, definitely. Because health is what's most important. And I think I preach that a lot to everybody is, it's great to have a goal to run a marathon and, want to be plant-based or, eat more whole foods. But what's most important is you're doing what's good for your body and your health. If it's not right for you, then sometimes we have to adjust something. And sometimes it's not what we exactly want, but it's what our body needs.
Yes, we have to really have that balance between that physical health, right, which we're doing to eat, whole foods, plant-based, etc., and also, physical health for running, being healthy, but there's that mental health aspect, right? And sometimes those physical things that we're trying to improve sometimes make us go a little maybe crazy. And I like to use the term, all the kale in the world won't save you if you're feeling we'll just say crazy around food. Or exercise or what have you. So take that mental health aspect and don't beat yourself up if you're feeling this way. And reach out to the right support systems if you are really struggling in that department.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's always somebody that can definitely help. And especially you, right, that knows all this about periods, especially. So, yes. Awesome. Let's see. Anything else? Oh, I have another question for you.
Okay.
What is the most common population that you have that struggles with no period? Obviously, I know that females, but I guess like is it mostly athletes or is it mostly?
I would say it's mostly the your typical runner or your typical avid exercise. I must exercise every day to be healthy. The typical woman that wants to just be healthy. Right. And by that, she is eating clean. She is, very precise with what she's eating. She may often feel super guilty if she eats anything bad. She has a strong type A personality where, things are structured and, she likes to plan and she doesn't do too well with the unknown. And generally it's ages, Kayla, that I find that, really reach out to me. I would say around the age of 25 to maybe 35. Because what's happening is at this point, they may have come off the pill because they might be married or they might say, oh, I've been on the pill since I've been a teen. So I'm ready to give my body a break. Or it's the woman that is like, okay, I'm staying on, the pill until I'm ready to have kids. And then they come off the pill and the doctor says, well, you don't have a period, take the pill, or here's fertility treatment. There are some doctors, and I'm not, I'm not ragging on doctors by any means. There's just a lot of misinformation. And I don't think what's happening in the medical journals has maybe caught up to like the actual practice yet, so to say. So, you know, I can tell you firsthand, I struggled for years. All right, years. Because first I was misdiagnosed. And this is actually an important point I want to know, Kayla. Many women are misdiagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome. Yes.
Really? I hear that so much. I was actually just talking to somebody.
Yes, lean PCOS, they'll call it. And what happens is the reason why this is diagnosed is because doctors will perform an ultrasound, because the woman will come, I'm not getting my period, and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And okay, let's do labs. Your labs look normal, because guess what? When you do have HA, your labs can appear normal. Doesn't mean they're normal. And then they'll say, oh, let's, you know, do an ultrasound, see what's going on in there. And they'll do the ultrasound, and they will see lots of little cysts in the ovaries. And the reason being is because in our menstrual phase, we have a follicular phase, and we have a luteal phase, and then we have the period phase, the menstrual phase. And so what happens is, because we are lacking all these hormones that trigger our body to go into the next phase in our menstrual cycle, they stay in the follicular phase, which those little follicles are kind of in your ovaries, and they're just not going anywhere, because they don't have the hormones to develop into the next stage, which would be like ovulation, and then, you know, the luteal phase. So they stay there. And that's why doctors are like, oh, well, you just have PCOS, but then they don't meet any of the other criteria. Lots of criteria that comes along with PCOS is weight gain, hairism, where they're, you know, growing abnormal, you know, hair, different places. So those are, common things that come along with PCOS, but that is so commonly diagnosed. And I was actually diagnosed with it. And that actually drove me deeper into my HA, because I'm like, oh, well, you must be, you know, very healthy, because PCOS increases your risk for all these other health disparities. And so, you know, I didn't think I fit that bill for HA, because at the time, and this was years ago, I thought, well, you know, this is something women that are super low body weight, and there's no, you know, I didn't fit that criteria. I didn't have any eating disorder. I wasn't super low body weight. So I circled around with that for a while. Then finally I said, okay, enough is enough. Why is my period not here still? Oh, go back on the pill. Or you know what? Here's a fertility specialist. So I go to the fertility specialist. They're like, well, I don't know why your period's missing. Here, take this fertility med, you know? And I'm like, no, why? This is a problem.
Yeah.
You know, and so many women, just like myself, will come to me and say, you know, my doctor said this, my OBGYN said this, the fertility specialist just wanted to get me pregnant, and I know this isn't normal not to have a period. So, you know, with all that being said, you know, struggling with that, you know, many women will go years, right, before they get the answer. And if any of what I have said today sounds like you, and Kayla, hopefully I'm answering your last question that you just asked. But, you know, if this sounds like you, know that, you know, I don't want to say it's a quick fix, because eating more and resting more is not easy for a lot of us. But these women that come to me, you know, are, you know, at the point where they've come off the pill, or, you know, they've had sporadic missing periods, or they've had an eating disorder and they haven't had a period forever, or not at all. I actually had a woman who was 19 years old, never had one natural cycle in her life. Prior to working with me, and you know, she had an eating disorder when she was a kid. She, you know, became weight stable, and so finally we got her period back, and she's having regular periods. But you know, mostly that's the women and athletes. You know, a lot of athletes just stay on the pill because they're told to, you know, to protect their bones. So, but majority are your typical, you know, your average woman that is exercising every day and, you know, trying to be healthy.
Yeah. Wow, that's so interesting. It really is. I feel like PCOS has been such a common diagnosis that I've seen. So it's really interesting. That's really good to know for me too, as a dietitian, to know like that's misdiagnosed.
Yes.
Because that is very common for sure.
So often. And then, I run into the predicament where women will come to me and they're like, well, my doctor diagnosed me with PCOS. And it's like, okay, I get that, but I can tell you based on everything you told me, it sounds like HA, hypophthalmic amenorrhea.
Yeah.
And so, a lot of times we look to our healthcare professionals, such as doctors, to tell us like, okay, this is what you have, like this, and we trust them. And I'm not saying don't trust your doctor, but know that just like, for instance, myself, I'm a dietitian, yes, but I don't know everything like about everything in the dietetic or the nutrition field. It's just impossible. And
Yeah,
Kayla, you
it
can say
is.
the same thing. We don't know. And just like
Absolutely.
doctors, they don't know
Don't know
everything.
everything.
They're just humans, just like us. And doctors in medical school are pretty much taught to, treat by meds. And not, I don't want to say not dig into the underlying problem, because some doctors do, but there's a lot of misinformation. And I like to say at the end of the day, trust your intuition, right? If after hearing this, your doctor's like, no, it's PCOS, but nothing fits the bill. And like I said, get that book, No Period Now What? So much great information in there. And Dr. Rinaldi is the top woman that I know of in the world that is leading the missing period movement. So she's brought so many awareness. And there's actually a Facebook group out there, No Period Now What? So yeah, I know a lot to swallow, a lot, of things impacted here. But at the end of the day, if you want to be truly healthy and you may be missing your period, that's when maybe those plant-based, the higher calorie plant-based stuff, like your legumes, are going to be more calorically dense than, hold on one second, Kayla. Hold on. Sure. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think I can mute you. Okay. I just muted you. Awesome. You're okay. All right, no problem. Wow. So much good stuff, guys. I hope you guys are enjoying this. I see a lot of you are on. I'm just going to read the comments here while Cynthia just took a break here. Anika said, very true. Many say the more one trains, periods can be delayed or missed, but I always believe that our bodies need to go through this feminine reset. Yeah, and stress and distress does cause it to delay as well. Yep, even if one does not feel well, feel it, but events in our lives are happening. Yes, and proper sleep and rest, definitely. And then Nika also mentioned My Body is Not an Apology is a good one as well. Okay, so that must be another book. Great, yeah. Awesome. So if anybody is interested in more about this topic, that is also a good book to check out as well. Cool. Awesome. All right. Does anyone have any questions? We could start putting questions maybe in the comments here. So when Cynthia gets back, we can ask her any questions that you guys have. But yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying this conversation. Or really talking about this. I think this is really important for those, that are runners and we're plant-based, and we generally, I talk about it all the time about underfueling and making sure we're fueling enough, and just see that so common. And a lot of times, right, our period goes missing, and how do we get that back is, increasing calories, but that can also help us for fueling for our runs. And a lot of times we should be eating this much, but that's probably the biggest thing that I see, right, is that we're just, we're not eating enough. So really you can help get your period back, as well as, fuel enough for your runs and your training as well. All right, cool. Anything that I missed here? Any questions? As I said, let us know if you have any questions. at all. And hopefully Cynthia will be back. You can ask her questions. Let me see if there's anything that I wanted to ask. I think so. We're just going to take a little intermission. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Let's see. So does anyone have any questions for our period nutritionist? So all about periods, we talked about how important it is for, getting, managing our stress and having a different way. I think that's something that I've also talked about. And, especially, I've talked about that in relation to injuries. When we have injuries, right? We want to make sure that we are having a different way to manage stress, because when we get an injury and we can't run, then it's important to have another form of exercise. And the same thing, if you're working on really wanting to get that period back, right? We want to make sure that we have something else to, handle our stress if we have to decrease exercise. And I think, really good point is just focusing on health. And I think you guys know that in this group, I've always focused a lot on our health, and that is most important. I think a lot of you saw that I took 6 days off, and that was really hard. Like, I'm training for a marathon, hopefully for the spring, and yes, it's still up in the air, but of course, in my mind, I'm like, I have to get my miles in. I need to get my miles in, right? But I also know my health is so important. My health is more important than any race. So, if something happens to my body, or I just feel like I just need rest, that's what I did. I told my coach, I was like, my toe's not feeling well. I just need some rest. And yeah, it was hard. It's hard to take 6 days off when you're so, that your running is such a habit. But sometimes I think that it's okay to, to do less if we have to. So yeah, sometimes we have to do that, to pull it back, if it's for our health. It's definitely so important. Awesome. Anika said it's very valuable info that I can share with others. Awesome. So yeah, put your comments here. And then I can ask Cynthia if you do our questions or comments. Yes, if you do have any questions, I will ask her here. Hopefully we will be back in a few minutes here. Let me just see. Okay, sorry. What did you? Yes, absolutely with you, Kayla. But you never want an injury to not heal and be that painful injury that Chris. Yes, exactly, Nico. Yes, and that's exactly what what I was talking about was, I didn't want this possible injury, right, to get any worse. So I'm like, okay, to make sure that this is not a broken toe, let's just take a couple days off, right? It's not going to kill me. I can get through it. And that's why, for me personally, I have gotten into doing more yoga and meditation. And that was, that's a little bit different for me. And I think I shared how my body has changed, and I don't have this ideal body that I used to have. And I do less intense exercise, but I do think it's helped me to, one, be a better runner. And I've also been able to better manage my stress, because I'm not putting my body under so much stress, as Cynthia was talking about, right? Running is internally putting our bodies in stress. So we have to have a form of relaxation. And for me, I found that through meditation, doing yoga really helps. And I can also continue to do that, and have that good habit of doing that with running. But even if I wasn't able to run, at least I, still have that as a habit. I'm still able to, to do yoga, right? Even with my toe and I couldn't run, I still could modify poses or something if it, didn't really feel good or feel like I should be doing it, right? But I was still able to do that. And it still felt like, okay, even though this is something that's relaxing, at least I'm doing something, right? So So yeah, so it's it's good to still have that habit. I think creating that habit is definitely good to have, a habit of managing stress and managing all that. Yeah, managing stress. So, all right, cool. Well, if you guys do have any comments here, comment, just, or you do have any questions, post below. I'll also post Cynthia's information and how you guys can reach her if anybody's interested in working with her. If she does come back, we can hop on here real quick, but we might just have to end it for now. But if you guys do have any questions, I'll make sure I can tag her and she's back. Oh, she's back.
Her.
Oh, her. Hello.
You say hi? Oh. Yeah, sorry, my mom just had to come up and I got to call the doctor because the door just fell on him.
Oh, no.
I know. So I'm sorry I had to cut out early, everyone. And I know we're still live.
No, you're okay. You're okay. It happens. It happens. Just real quick, but how can everybody follow you, reach you?
Yes. So if you guys, Instagram, that's where I'm mostly, active on, and that's at period.nutritionist. That would be the best way to get in touch with me.
Okay, perfect. Instagram. Okay, so yes, I will put that in the comments here for everybody to be able to reach you. Well, thank you for doing this.
Yes, thank you.
He's okay.
He'll be okay.
Bye.
And bye. Thank you, everyone.
You're welcome.